Good morning, everyone. This is Yara Marie, and if this is your first time, welcome to my channel. This channel is basically talking about everything related to the family. We are talking about finances, how we can better raise our children, how we can better love our spouses, basically about everything. So, if this is your first time, welcome. Well, before we continue on this wonderful series, Mommy, I Need a Cell Phone, let me ask you something. If you have a valuable jewelry, if you have something that is super expensive, you will want to keep it safe somewhere where nobody can have access to it. If you have some money, you might want to put it in the bank or invest it, but you want to make sure it is safe. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 4:23, it says, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. So we have to understand that we have to keep our heart with all diligence. Once our children have a phone, they're exposed to the world. They can talk to anybody. Anybody can talk to them. How are we supposed to support them in order for them to guard their heart, in order for them to keep their heart? So this is about the first question I asked before the end of the last video. What do you do when your child is telling you, Mommy, Daddy, I'm independent, I need my private life, I have a cell phone now? So, this is a voiceover, right, of my French video. So basically what is written down right there is saying the reply to the question asked last week, okay? So for those of you trying to read French and freaking out, calm down. Okay, so basically we need to make sure first that the child understand that having a technology device, having a phone is a privilege, is not a need. The kids need to understand that we give them their need, security, they need shelter, food, stability, consistency, emotional support, love, education. They need to know about the Word of God. Those are the needs that they have. Having a cell phone is a privilege. So they need to understand that. And they also need to understand that confidentiality include the word confidence. It means trust. So when you give them a phone, it's because you trust that they will make good choices. When you give them a phone, you are giving them a phone for them to be accountable, responsible. It does not mean that you are selling your parental rights and that you are not able to check their phones. And they also need to understand that they need to be able to trust you. They need to be able to come to you at any given moment. It's very important to create that bond, that relationship with your child. So I'm trying to understand why we have some of us giving a phone to our 10-year-old or 11-year-old and we tell them, oh, that's your private life. I don't want to know about all this. I don't want to learn about this. What? We have to be there with them. We have to be there for them. And they need to understand that we are there to protect them. I mean, you went ahead, you spent your money, you bought a phone for your child, you pay for the bills every month, and you telling your child it's okay, you can do whatever you want with that phone. I mean, we have to step up a little bit and we have to check. We have to be there. That's how you are as a parent. That's our roles. So yeah, if you have some apps already in place, some programs that you put to see what type of website your child is downloading, what type of text messages they're receiving, okay, that's good. But when you come to your child and you say, hey, let me check your phone. The first reason why they are very reluctant and they're freaking out is a misunderstanding. So that's what I wrote there. And comprehension means misunderstanding, basically. So somebody told them, hey, this is your private life. And private life means that you are an adult. As a 10 or 11-year-old, you are an adult. So your parents do not have the right to touch your phone. That's a misunderstanding. That's a misconception. You just need to tell them, hey, I'm here to protect you. And I'm here to make sure that you are making good choices. That's all. And also the second reason, maybe the child is hiding something. Now, as a parent, we can't act like teenagers and go, ooh, what is in your phone? And freaking out and yelling and getting upset and trying to snatch the phone and doing all this. No. We need to calm down. You are the parents. This is your house. You need to calm down and say, look, let me see your phone. What are you hiding? If you made a mistake, I will be upset at the mistake, at the choice that maybe you made, but I still love you. The child needs to understand no matter what, my parents are there for me. They love me. I may have consequences for my choices, but I know that the underlying is love and they want me to become a better person. It is also important for the kids to understand that, hey, before my parents bought this phone, they made it clear that they can have access to it anytime. So those are some conversation that you need to have beforehand so that when your child has the phone, it's not a discussion. We don't have to argue, to negotiate. Before they had the phone, you had those rules already set in place. And also, please try to understand you did not give birth to all the kids around the world. You did not raise all the children attending your child's school. You do not pray for every single child attending your child's school. You pray for your children. You guide your children. You want to prepare your children. This is part of the preparation that you put in place to support your child or your children so that when they go into the world, they know how to better navigate. I mean, they're not professional yet. They're not adults yet, but they're learning some skills to be able to protect themselves. I've heard a story of a little girl. She was playing on her phone, playing some games, and she was on an app that was authorized by her parents. So she met a friend. The profile picture was a picture of a young girl looking just like her, and they were talking almost every day. How are you? How was your day? Oh my goodness. And just kids talk until one evening the other person was asking the little girl, hey, this is a picture of my breast. I'm half naked. I need you to send a picture of your breast. And the girl said, no, my parents said it wasn't a good idea not to show my private part to anybody. And she said, this is not your private part. Just show me one breast or show me your chest. She was like, no. And the person on the other side kept insisting. So she went to her parents and said, hey, my friend keep asking me to show my breast, and I don't understand why she's insisting. So the parents said, who are this friend and what are the parents of the friend? Find out that they didn't even know the child. Next thing you know, the dad went and did some digging and find out that he was a pedophile. He was a bad man, a predator trying to take that child picture and put into bad websites. So we have to be careful. Imagine if the parent did not take the time to speak to their daughter, to explain those things to their daughters. She could have said, oh, that's my girlfriend, let me just show mine too. And it's not right, because that other person, yes, the profile picture was a child, but it was not a child. It was a grown, bad man. And they need to understand that we have some bad people out there. So only God can protect them, but we also can teach them some skills. I also heard of a mother. She kept complaining about her child because she bought the cell phone because she wanted to protect the child. She wanted to be able to communicate with the child after school. And funny thing, the child's phone was always off or always dead whenever she's trying to communicate, and that was giving her more anxiety. So those are the things that we have to communicate with our kids. Sometimes they seem as simple or as common sense, but trust me, common sense is not common. You have to communicate with your babies. Does your child know how much you spend every month on the phone bill? I mean, do they know that that's a money that can add up, and after a year you can buy something and invest with that money? They need to know that you love them. It's a privilege. Again, like I said earlier, it is not their right to have a phone. So before they have a phone, you can communicate that with them so they can learn to appreciate that you are working hard in order for them to have a decent life. But sometimes you are giving them gifts and toys, but that does not mean that that is the right. So now, if the child phone is damaged, if the child phone falls into the toilet, what are the actions that you guys will be taking. All this you need to communicate with your child. Some parents do not say anything to their children, and they wait until the child breaks the phone or drops the phone in the toilet. Then they freak out, they start yelling, they're calling the neighbors. I mean, come on, whose fault is this? Let's be honest. You did not communicate that with the child. It's the same thing as giving a gun to someone. I keep telling people a gun is not the problem, it's whoever is holding the gun, because we have some people around the world that use a gun to go into the forest to kill some animals to feed their families. Then you have some people using the gun to hurt other human beings. So you need to understand it is not the fault of the phone or the gun, is the fault of whoever is who is using that tool. We have to make sure that we know that. And we have to make sure that the child understands from the beginning. You love the child. You know that this is a good child. You need to make sure you tell that to your child. If you make a mistake, I will be there to support you. I'm here to guide you. If you come from work and you are very tired and the child is asking you a question, you can just tell your child, go ahead, write the notes and put it somewhere in the house where I will read. You guys can agree. It can be in a kitchen cabinet, in a drawer somewhere, but make sure that you stop by and check, because sometimes when you come from work and your child is asking you all those questions, you are already exhausted, you are already overwhelmed, you're trying to relax, you don't have time to answer all those questions. But that does not mean that the child cannot ask questions. You just have to find another way to reply to those questions. You need to make your child understand that you do not need to answer to each question that the child has at the time when you come off work, or when you are tired, or you are busy. But you can teach them to write it down and put it somewhere on the shelf somewhere. You can also have them texting you the question and knowing that whenever you have a time, you will answer the question. That will continue to have an open communication with you and your child, no matter what's going on out there. Yeah, you have to think about your well-being first as well. I mean, if you are tired and exhausted, what type of positive answer are you going to give your child? You won't be focused enough to give them a correct answer. So remember, I am not trying to tell you when or where to buy a phone for your child. I know that you will take a decision that best fit your family needs. I'm just trying to make sure that we have those kind of questions in the back of our head when we buy a phone for our children, and make sure that your child knows that you love them. And remember, as I said earlier, we're trying to guard our hearts. We're trying to keep our heart like God is asking us to, and we're trying to guide our children to do the same thing. So if you haven't done so, check my other videos. The first one was last week. Thank you again. I'm Yera Marie, and if you have not subscribed, subscribe and give me some thumbs up. Thank you. Bye.